welcome. This is going to be a mainly floor-based practice, so you don't really need any props at all, but if you feel like the floor is a little bit cold or you want a blanket to practice on, you can put a blanket over your mat and we're just going to get straight to it. So if you come to lie down, sit yourself down onto your back and just bend your knees. Bring your hands onto your thighs so your hands are close to your pelvis and just press your thigh bones forward. As you press your thigh bones forward, you can just wiggle your tailbone from side to side a little bit. Just creating a little bit of space. And then that movement can soften, and we're just going to pause here. Just kind of lift your pelvis a few millimeters off the floor, lengthen your tailbone down, and then set it back down onto the floor. And then bring your hands to the back of your skull and just lengthen from the base of your neck across to the base of your skull and place your head down. And then let your arms rest up overhead with your elbows a little bit bent. And take a moment simply to receive the gravitational flow. And let your body land. Maybe your eyes could soften and close. And as you attune to the feeling of your breath for a few moments here, just seeing if that felt sense of your breath can just quietly invite you into present time. See if you can soften through your face. Let all of your bones get very heavy. So that before we start to move, there's really this opportunity for everything to settle, to meet the ground, to find our weightedness, and to open our awareness into the sensorial realm and our breath. And then from there, bring your attention right down into your feet and the soles of your feet on the floor. Maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. And then we're going to keep the left leg just as it is. The right leg is going to lengthen forward. So your foot drags on the floor as your leg lengthens forwards. Then let your leg roll out so your right toes pour out towards the right. And as you rebend your right knee, you're dragging the leg back on the outer ankle. Then we'll roll from the pinky edge of the foot all the way across to come back to exactly where we began. And we'll take that a few times. The leg pours forward, it pours outwards. You rebend the knee, and then you roll from pinky edge towards big toe edge as you return. We'll just take that a few times, and what I'd love for you to play with is just allowing the movement to be very lazy, almost like a daydream. Just feeling this right thigh bone rolling around in its hip socket and allowing everything else to be weighted. Your brain, your skull, your eyes and their sockets. Your belly soft, organs just resting down towards the back of the body. And just this simple and easeful motion of your leg. And then the next time that your leg is pouring in towards the side, pause while your leg is out. So you're on the outer ankle, your right knee is out towards the floor, and then lengthen your left leg long. Now as you lengthen your left leg long, roll onto the sole of your right foot. So now your right knee points up towards the sky, and then we're going to start to press the floor away with this right foot as we root the foot down into the floor, roll towards the left side of your body. And then there's this little passive return all the way back. And we'll just play with that a few times. You're nudging the floor away with your right foot, and you might roll from the heel of your right foot towards the ball of the foot as you open this right side of your body. And it's a lulling, so it's like you're being moved by a wave onto the left side of your body, and then a quiet return with minimal muscular effort. Really less is more here. So just this rolling, feeling feeling the weight shift towards this left side of your body, across the back of your skull towards the left a little bit. Your tongue soft and broad and resting in your mouth. That's it. And then the next time that you're rolling back onto your back, just stay there. Okay? Slide your left foot all the way back in, and then take your heels a little wider than your toes. Turn your toes in towards each other and rest your knees towards each other. And just take a breath or two in stillness. So the practice is a practice of doing something and then observing and feeling its effect. And just noticing, coming into that space of curious attention. And then you can slowly wiggle your feet to be about hip width apart again, toes pointing forward. And this time it's your left leg that's going to lengthen forward. The toes roll out and then that leg drags back in. And just feeling the skin of your foot on the ground as you move forward, and then the outer ankle on the ground as you coil the leg back in. Again, finding a way of moving that feels effortless. Weighted bones. And just inviting this hip and thigh bone to articulate and kind of explore its range of movement possibilities while it's not bearing any weight. There's no weight bearing. Not standing on our feet. And that's it. And then the next time that your knee is bent and you're on the outer left ankle, lengthen your right leg long. Roll onto the sole of your left foot, press the floor away. Now, as you press the floor away, imagine you're reaching your left knee forwards and then roll all the way back. So your left knee moves towards the foot end of your mat as you roll a little towards your right side and then come all the way back. We'll just take that a few more times. Reach the knee forward and roll, and then come back. Just becoming absorbed in the simplicity of the motion and the ease of motion. And then from there, the next time that you're on your back, stay. And as you come onto your back, you can either do this with your legs long or with your knees bent. I'm going to describe it for both. It's a little wobble that we're going to send through our system. If your legs are long, it's as if you're kind of pressing the floor away with your heels, and then there's a passive release. So there's a rhythm to it. It's like duck, 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 duck. So that what happens is that little movement from your heels starts to ripple all the way through. You'll probably feel your skull moving a little on the ground, your shoulders. But you could imagine it almost like we're using the motion just to kind of jiggle up the fluids of the body. Let the organs wiggle around a little bit. If it doesn't feel so good for you with your legs long, same idea, knees are bent and it's a little pulse of the floor away. Usually I find it easier to use just my heels. But for me, it definitely feels better with my legs long. So just choose which one feels like you can get a little bit of natural momentum so it doesn't feel like such an effort. We've just got about a minute just to jiggle. You could feel the breath moving right in through your nose and then maybe sigh or sound like H-A. Belly is soft. About 20 more seconds there, just jiggling it up. Nothing that feels like too much of a big deal. And then in the next 5 seconds, just preparing for stillness. Your knees can be bent or your legs long, and then just get quiet And let every single muscle unhold and notice what you can feel. Almost like an internal broadening. Fluid taking up space right towards the skin. Good. And then slowly from there, step your feet in towards each other so you can bring the soles of your feet together and your knees out wide. We're not here for a long time. Your left leg stays as it is. Your right leg comes so that the sole of your foot is on the floor. So we've got our left knee out to the side, our right knee up to the sky. Again, arms can be out wide a little bit more, up or overhead, just depends on how it feels for your shoulders. We're going to press the floor away. Imagine you're coming into bridge on this right side. As you nudge the floor away, your knee reaches forward, your hip lifts, and then you can turn a little bit. This right arm just hanging down towards the floor a little, and then a passive return. So similar to the other one that we did, but this time just a little bit more of a bridge. It's like a half bridge. Slight roll towards the left side shoulder blade, left side skull. And you can reach with your right arm in the opposite direction if you like. You can reach away to the right top corner of your mat as you move your right knee over to the left. And then the next time that you're coming all the way back to center, let's switch sides. So you're going to bring the soles of the feet together, knees out wide. And then the sole of your left foot comes back to the floor. So you have your left knee pointing up, right knee pointing out. And then imagine you're coming into bridge. You reach your left knee forward, you roll a little to your right, and then a return. And play with that a few times. And you can really allow this left side shoulder to be heavy. Left fingertips just draping on the floor. At any time, sounding, sighing, just different ways. Different valves of release for our nervous system. If you could let your pelvis go first and then everything else follow, that can feel quite nice, almost like a fabric being moved from one point and everything else following. And then the next time that you're rolling onto your back, that's going to be the last. And as you lie on your back, you're going to end up rolling onto the side of your body, whichever side that you can most easily see the screen. All right, so I'm going to be on my right side. You might be on your right side or your left side. It doesn't matter. But for a moment, just feel this underside of your body, this lateral line of your body meeting the ground. Make a pillow for your head with your arm. Your knees can be a little bit bent, and your hand, the top hand, just resting on the floor. And just close your eyes if you're comfortable to, or soften your gaze. Take a few breaths, just feeling one side body meeting ground. One side body meeting space. Ease of breath. And then slowly from there, I'm going to reach my top leg back on a diagonal as I reach my top arm forward on a diagonal. So it's like I'm going to lengthen out through both of my limbs, but my underneath limb is going straight down and my top limb is reaching back as I reach my top arm forward. So I'm finding this diagonal. And then I'm going to come all the way back through center and switch so my top leg goes forward and my top arm goes back. And you can roll onto the back of your skull. Now this, it's going to look different for all of us. The main idea is you're switching. Top arm goes forward, top leg goes back. And then top arm goes back, top leg goes forward. And then let your body discover its own pathways of movement. So you're bringing in a little rotation. And the quality of motion is supportive. So whatever your underneath side body wants to do, if your underneath knee wants to bend a little more, just this kind of yawn Yawn out into space. And then the next time that you're moving through center, let's pause there and roll all the way back onto our back and onto the other side of our body. And as you roll onto the other side of your body, again, make a pillow for your head. With your upper arm, bend your knees a little, your top hand just resting to the floor. Take a few moments to get still and just feel the underneath side body meeting ground. Side body on top meeting space, receptive to space. Belly very soft. And then start to lengthen your legs. And it's almost like you can imagine you're going to be pressing into a membrane, like a little bit of resistance as you move. So as you reach your top arm back, your top leg reaches forward and you find that diagonal. And then you switch. And as you reach your top leg back, reach your arm forward. And you can turn your chest a little towards the floor. This is not a stuck movement or a set sequence, so you can really make it yours. The main idea is we're finding this rotation and the diagonal, and then you adapt it so that it feels good in your own body. But your movement is alive. It's alive. It's not mechanical. Feel what you're doing. Feel your body and the direction that it's asking to go. And if you come up against somewhere that doesn't feel so good, then we respond. We respond to that sensory feedback and we go, okay, maybe not that way. Or maybe we just kind of tiptoe to the edge and we feel, okay, this feels spacious, that feels painful. So we're discerning the difference between the sensory responses. And then the next time that you're rolling all the way over towards your back, roll onto your back, wiggle your pelvis back to center and step your feet back in. Now as you step your feet back in, have your toes pointing straight forward and then reach your arms up to the sky. It's like you're climbing up a rope, so you're going to reach your right arm much higher than your left. Your right shoulder blade comes off the floor, and then it's as if you're pulling yourself up. The other arm reaches. And then keep switching sides. And if you imagine you're climbing up this rope, so your shoulder blades are gliding across the back of your ribs, and your head is heavy. Your head is heavy, so your head is kind of rolling a little from side to side. And there's this reach and then a release. And you're feeling that relationship, hand, arm, shoulder blade. Tongue is soft. And then the next time that you're reaching your left arm up, let's make that one the last. Come all the way back. So you're going to have both of your shoulders on the floor, your arms are still floating, and then hold on to opposite elbows. And as you hold on to opposite elbows, we're simply going to move right elbow into left hand over to the side. So you're moving on this horizontal axis over towards the right, pressing, nudging your elbow into your hand, and then nudging your left elbow into your right hand as you move horizontally across the other side. And just take that a few times. You're rolling one way and then the other way. And you're finding the boniness of your elbow nudging into the palm of your hand. Your head can roll a little side to side. And you can go as far as feels good to get a little stretch out perhaps in that space between your shoulder blades. Imagine the skin over the back of your shoulder blades broadening. Good, and then coming all the way back to center. And as you come back to center, cross your right upper arm over your left upper arm. Your hands resting onto your outer shoulders, your elbows just draping down over your chest. And then we're going to take a little shift of weight into the right side rib basket. As you roll your weight to your right side rib basket, curl up, lift your head a little bit, and we're coiling in to create a little space between the shoulder blades and the ribs and the spine. It's a little curl in. Now, it's not so much a sit up where we're really trying to, harden our belly. Of course, there's going to be some condensing through the front of your body, but it's more of a little side effect. What we're looking for is just this capacity to move a little bit. The ribs around the spine, and just rolling and then curling in. And again, less is more, so we're not looking for the biggest sensation of stretch. It'll roll to your side and then curling. And just take that for another minute or so. Good, and slowly starting to come back to center. As you come back to center, pause for a moment, do nothing at all. Notice what you can feel. Then float your arms up to the sky. Cross your left upper arm over your right upper arm. Hands resting to your outer shoulders. Elbows resting down over your chest. And then a weight shift into the left side ribs and curl in. And release. A little roll and then a curl. And then release. Just let your breath be really easy and natural. Just getting absorbed in the simple movement. If it doesn't feel so good to lift your head, you can make the movement smaller, a little weight shift without lifting your head. And again, this idea of kind of getting a little sense of space right around the back of the heart. Just 30 seconds or so there. If you find it's fatiguing your neck, keep your head on the floor. We do not want to be overdoing it. Remember, less is more. And then slowly finding your way back to center. When you get to center, pause. Notice what you can feel. Good, and then we're going to let both of our knees roll over to the right. Both of the knees roll over to the right. Open your arms out wide to the sides into a twist. And this time our legs are going to stay exactly as are, but we're going to just take a little roll towards this right side so your top arm just stays as close as it is possible to on the floor as you come up overhead into a side lying position, maybe rolling even a little down towards your forehead. And then a slow return, opening your top arm all the way back out. Now, the way that I like to play with this is moving pelvis first. Pelvis takes belly, takes shoulders, takes arm, takes forehead. And then a slow movement, unpeeling all the way back. So there's this drapey effect. Rolling out, rolling in, coming into rotation and then into more of a side-lying position. And if it doesn't feel so good to you to come into so much rotation, then you just stay more on your side and then a little bit of a lean back, weight shift, and then you come back. You could allow your fingertips to stay close to the floor or on the floor. And this heavy skull rolling from side to side. And the next time that you're coming out onto your back, pause, roll across the soles of your feet, come back to center. Pause in center, either rest your knees together or keep your knees hip width apart. Notice if you can feel kind of pulsation, the movement, fluid in your body. These small movements that are very hydrating for the tissues. And then slowly roll your knees all the way over to the left. And then again, this is drapey. Okay, so your pelvis goes, your ribs, your hand comes up overhead and you roll onto your side. And then we're unrolling to come all the way back. But your legs stay the same direction the whole time. Rolling to the side and then coming back. And rolling to the side and then coming back. And take that for a little while. And noticing if the movement becomes mechanical, which it sometimes can, and seeing if you can return to kind of a feeling sense of what you're actually doing. So the movement is alive, it's alive. If it doesn't feel comfortable for your shoulder to have your arm going overhead, you can also have your arm much lower. So you could even rest your hand onto your chest or onto the side of your waist or hip and be rolling without the arm overhead. So constantly noticing, what is the feedback, and is there a tendency to override the feedback? Really getting to know how we can respond in a way that really and truly honors what we're feeling. Next time that you're rolling over to the side, let's make that one the last. And then coming all the way back to lie onto your back. Wiggle your pelvis back to center. Let's hug our knees into our chest. Give your legs a little hug. Feel the back of your body broad. Keep your right leg hugged in. Lengthen your left leg long along the floor. And then this right knee can just move a little bit more towards your right armpit, just a little to the side. Reach through your toes, wiggle through your toes, and then step your left foot back in and cross your right ankle over your left thigh so you can gather your legs in a figure of 4. You can interlace your fingers underneath your left hamstrings, or you could keep your arms to the ground out wide, and we'll take just a little rock from side to side. And then coming back to center, release your left foot down, release your right foot down. Hug your left knee in towards your chest, lengthen your right leg long. And as you hug this left knee in, just let it move out to the left a little bit. Reach through your toes, circle through your ankles. Good, and then step your right foot in. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh and come on in for figure of four. Just a little wiggle from side to side. Your legs can come in closer or stay further away. And then finding stillness, just take a breath there. Good. Release your right foot down to the floor. Release your left foot down to the floor. Take your arms alongside your body. Root down through your feet. Reach your knees forward. Take a little lift of your pelvis. Press down through your feet. Nudge the floor away through your shoulders. Opening through the front of the hips. Find the strength of the back of your body. And then you can keep your pelvis lifted. You can keep your arms alongside your body, or you can float your arms up to the sky. Let the weight of your arm bones descend into your shoulders. And then continue with your arms all the way up overhead if you like. Couple breaths. And a little sway of your pelvis from side to side, so the descent is really like a feather landing. A feather landing to the ground. And as your pelvis arrives, the sacrum finds the ground. Heels wide, toes in, knees rest together. Pause and feel. You can choose to keep your knees bent and resting to each other, or you can slide your legs long. Take your arms out wide or alongside your body. Just take a few moments to become still. Bones heavy. Muscles unheld and skin releasing, skin soft. Really heavy through your feet, your ankles, your shins and your knees. Heavy through the long bones of your thighs and your pelvic halves, your sacrum. Just releasing weight down through your spine as it is suspended and resting to the ground. Through your shoulders and arms and hands. Your neck and your skull. Your brain weighted. And the whole front surface of your body as if it could rest down through the middle of you towards the back body as your back body broadens into the ground. You can stay here for as long as you like. If you'd like to close with me, you can just gently articulate through your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles, maybe reaching out and yawning. And then sliding your feet in and rolling onto your side. Supporting yourself with your hands. Let your head be the last thing to lift as you come all the way up to find a seat. Keep your eyes closed if you're comfortable to. Take a moment to reorganize and settle. And just consider that the next 30 seconds are really the most important in a way of the whole practice, this bridging of our practice into our day. This soft anchoring of awareness internally as you start to also notice and feel into your surroundings, your local sounds, temperature of air. Just sitting for a moment with your awareness simultaneously inward oriented and also starting to pour into your surroundings. Noticing how quiet and easeful your breath can be. And then bringing your hands to rest on the front of your body or to prayer, bowing head to heart. And we'll close there. Thank you.